Talk. Donovan Bailey here on behalf of Bud and the leader of our area and the brain behind this, Andre Crockett. Welcome to Barbershop Talk. We have Justin Terrell here from the Council for Minnesota of African Heritage, and I'm going to struggle with that, having been on the formerly Council on Black Minnesotans. We also have Walter Smith here, who's a board member. We'll get into him a little bit and his representation here locally. But before we do, I want to make sure you know that this is an effort for community. We are passionate about the African American community. We're passionate about the minority community. We are passionate about the at-risk community. But overall, we're passionate about our community as a whole. This is about everybody. But certainly, we have passion for those former folks that I talked about. And so, come along, be a part of us. We're growing and growing in 2019. Some ideas are coming out. So go with us. Like Paul Wellstone said, we all do better when we all do better. So this is about the community. So be a part of what we're doing here. Send criticisms, critiques, whatever you want. As we upgrade, we want you to be a part of this. And so in 2019, next week we have Executive Director Tierra Webster from Next Chapter Ministries. And then the following week we have Sheriff Kevin Torkelson from Olmsted County. So that should be fun. So thanks for tuning in. Be safe out there with the snow that's coming around Minnesota today, but thank you for tuning in to Barbershop Talk. All right, Justin Terrell.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Great for you to be here. Thank you for being here. Introductory question. Last night our nation lost a great leader. Someone disagreed with that. Bush 41. But he, as some have said, he's one of the last Republicans that held on to that mystique that they used to have, at least the leadership mystique of what he did. And whether you agree with him or not, he was a leader for our country for the 4 years that he served. Not only that, he brought in a legacy, a political legacy with his family. And as I was watching the news this morning, I'm like, I didn't think about politics, I thought about leader. And again, whether you liked him or not, and I get the politics of it, but I thought about leader. Mm-hmm. And I think, we're in the leadership gap. Not only locally maybe, but certainly nationally, we're looking for leaders. And I've heard this within the black community as well. Who are our leaders that we turn to nowadays in our times? And things are great. I'm not saying things are in the doldrums. But you, my brother, are a leader, or the leader, someone might say, of the African American community in Minnesota, being at the very privileged position you are. And we'll talk more about that so people will know what you do. What do you think about that, given you've been there, a year and a half, 2 years?
So I've been in first of all, I think it's a really important question. Today is actually my anniversary. So I started as executive director of the Council for Minnesotans of African Heritage, or the African Heritage Council, shorthand, a year ago today.
So very apropos.
Yeah.
I
believe one of my first emails I got concerning leadership and leadership gap, it was from you. And so I appreciate you kicking things off a year ago and making sure that I paid attention to what's going on down here in Rochester. But in regards to President Bush's passing, I definitely am somebody who thinks about leadership more about what is happening in the moment when you have an opportunity to lead. And if you look at President H. Bush's opportunity that he was given to lead in the moment.
Right.
I mean, you had the wall coming down. You had and all the changes in Central Europe, which I've actually been to Central Europe and have seen the remnants of communism and what that looks like. And you also have the first Gulf War.
Right.
I mean, that time, the economy in America at the time.
Yep.
And so you see somebody who had the privilege of leading our country at a very transitional moment.
Right.
Which I would argue we're in another one of those right now.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Well, great. So you've been in a year. Tell us about what the council does. Even being a former member, and I may be wrong here, I think people still don't know what the council does.
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think I hear that anytime I'm in the community, this comes up. And so simply put, the council, we're a state agency, right? And we are focused on serving as a advisor to the governor, an advisor to all 201 legislators.
Okay.
And so if you look at it this way, there are 201 legislators that represent the state of Minnesota at the Capitol.
Okay.
There are 6 black legislators.
Right.
Right. 2 in the Senate, Senator Champion, Senator Hayden, 4 in the House, Representative Moran, and then all new folks. So Representative Hodan.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Representative Moore, Representative Richardson. I think that was 4, right? and then all together we have 20 legislators of color in the body, and so the council, the ethnic council structure is really developed to help provide an additional voice for Minnesota's minority communities, and so we represent, the council represents over 400,000 black folks in the state. That includes African folks. And we have a board, 11 appointed members by the governor that represent different parts of our community. So we have Oromo folks, Somali, black folks. We have a diverse board. 4 legislative slots currently. Senator Moran and Representative Moran and Senator Hayden sit on the council, and then we have 4 full-time staff, including myself.
So, and when I was on the council, so there's an intentional effort to put folks of the diverse African community on the board now, if I'm saying that correctly.
Well, our statute requires it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good. So you're there and going forward. Now you're tenured, right? They can't fire you or nothing like that. I'm joking.
They can always fire you. The board actually, it's interesting who has the authority over staff and the executive director, but
yeah, I know some
yes,
things have shifted since I've been there.
Yeah.
So, but I'm actually joking about that. But and now you got a year in. Now going forward, what are your goals? What are you seeing? I know it's a lot, and I know a lot of people expect a lot out of you. What's going on?
Yeah. So we're actually in a moment right now with the council where we're talking about our goals for next year. We're looking at our work from this year and putting together our report, planning for a day on the Hill, which is February 26th. So hopefully we can get a crew from Rochester to come up and not just meet and rally with the black legislators, but also go and meet with legislators to help advance the agenda that we're working on. So if we're just being honest, the agency when I started was in a pretty rough situation.
No doubt about that.
I don't think that's a secret.
All
right, I'm thankful for the leadership of the council and past council members who helped kind of pilot the ship through some pretty difficult transition times. I'd say the last 5 years have been a very difficult transition for the agency. And so this year I focused on just getting the wheels back on the same rolling.
Yep, I feel you there.
Next year, my #1 goal is to get our budget. This is a budget year. So I have to get our budget secured, and we're requesting an increase of about $249,000 to add an additional staff and purchase the rest of our office space, because right now we don't even rent our full office space. So I'm in the weeds.
Oh, really? The same office on the
No, we're actually on campus now. So we moved on to the Capitol complex.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we have access to all the
that makes sense.
We're a hallway away from, and we're next door to the Latino Council.
Oh, really? That's good. That's good.
So that's my top priority as far as the community goes, or like what policies we're working on. I anticipate that we'll continue to work on restoration of voting rights for Minnesotans currently serving on probation who have been disenfranchised. Felony probation, I should clarify, if you're on felony probation, you can't vote in Minnesota. I want to change that.
Right.
I did that down in Florida. I want to, Senator Hayden has a bill and Representative Moran have a bill that will transform child protection and how they treat our families. Because
I heard that's coming around. Yeah.
Black folks, our families have our kids taken away at 3 times rate.
Right.
Folks for the same behavior.
That's right.
Black immigration.
Right.
So I'm serious about saying black immigration, because a lot of times immigration is about the Latino community, and we know that policies like temporary protected status, deferred enforcement of deportation. These are federal policies that the current White House administration has been threatening and targeting communities like the Liberian community and Somali community. I mean, there's planes of Somalis being deported on a regular basis, and we just get our job. The if you think about the economic impact of deporting thousands of people from our state, will cripple our economy, and so I always try to tell people. What's good for black folks in Minnesota is good for all of Minnesota.
Thank you. You can repeat that if you hear that. That's very true.
And so those are some of the things.
Yeah, ask you a question. So, why did y'all change the name? Because when I see that happen, and first concentrating on African Americans, then African descent. Sometimes I see that when that happens, we get lost.
Right.
We get lost in that and forget about it and the policies and everything else. And it seems that our immigrants or refugee brothers and sisters who come over here and establish for a while really benefit off of that more than we do.
Right.
And sometimes I see that the reason, even work at the county, we did that. And then we start seeing more African descent kids benefit from that particular program we have more than African American kids. And that was designed so we can get more funding. Mm-hmm. So is this the purpose that y'all doing it just to get more funding?
And I think the funding question is the easy one. No, I think so the way the council is funded, we have a state appropriation, and so we go through the same process that the other councils go through to get funding. But we can receive gifts and grants from outside organizations, but that's not how. We're not a community organization. We're not funded based on the way a lot of community organizations are. So first of all, that's simple one. No, we didn't change the name to get more funding. The council, this is before my time. There was an audit and a redesign process that took place. And after the audit, my understanding is that our council was the only council that was suggested to actually just close up its doors and be shuttered. And so the redesign was really about keeping this service available to all black folks. So it was more than just a name change, is what I try to tell people. And to your question, and the tension between African and African American folks, it's real. And I live it every day.
Yes.
Every day I live it. And I can't. You remember that dude from the movie Life? Can't get right. That's us. Like we just can't get right because if people see me advocating with the Somali community or the African or the Nigerian community or we supported the Liberian Independence Day this year, and you would think that would give us some credit in the African community. Oh no, because now the Nigerians are why didn't you support ours? And it's
it's never enough.
And it's never enough, right? And then black folks are constantly you're doing too much in the African community. African communities are doing too much. It's just, but I always try to remind people that this is nothing new, and it's also not our fight.
Yeah.
These are echoes of colonial tactics.
Yes.
That we just have to recognize, call out, and reject and refute. What's good for my Liberian community and the Nigerian community is good for black folks, right? We have different experiences in life, and that's just life. We all have different experiences. But what's good for black folks in this, and my favorite part is, and this I shouldn't say this on the record, but I'm gonna say it. But my favorite thing is when I'm engaging with the African community, and there's a new hustle. Right. And it's and you're watching, and you're I'm and it's funny because black folks have been here for a long time. We've been here longer than a lot of white people's families have been here, but we don't act like that, right? This country we built this country. Yeah. And so it's funny when I see some new hustles coming up, I'm like, nah, we've done that before. And I think black folks should really start taking on this role of being clear, we are welcoming of our immigrant brothers and sisters. And we got a few things that we can contribute to the meal, if you will, if we're all at the table together, and as opposed to us being, suspicious of each other.
Have you been able to, being a former member, and when I was up there, I was awestruck first by being appointed. To be on the.
So you were anointed.
No. To be there, right? You're both be there. See, that's what the word now stuff. But I was awestruck by going up and saying, we're about to get things done for the black community in Minnesota. And so I get up there, and then obviously we see some of the dysfunction up there.
Yeah.
And my assumption is all around all the power that's up there. Have you been able to bring all that together? Because there's so many people pulling at you, as you said. How are you able to? I mean, now getting to see you, you have a common personality. I'm assuming that's probably part of your riches to pull folks together. But how do you do that? Because it was almost impossible. Although we got some things done when I was there. How are you able to do that? Are you just every day? You know.
I mean, I don't know that I've hit my stride yet, right? But I do, I do understand that the number one thing at the Capitol is that everything is about relationships.
Right.
And so last year I spent a lot of time talking to the majority party on issues where we disagreed, right?
Well, they hated you for that.
Well,
the Republicans, right?
Well,
they hated you.
I gotta be honest, they didn't, right?
Oh, they did. Oh, good.
No, they actually, I found it extremely helpful to go and just sit down and talk to people because it's all about relationships. And now that power has shifted in the House, like I still have those relationships with the majority party, right?
Right.
It was also one of the reasons I come down here is because, Senator Sinjin represents.
Right on, he's doing some big stuff.
He's the first senator I sat down with in my current role. And so, he's a Republican, he's a senior in the Senate, and you can get a lot done by working with him.
Right.
And so I think for me, it's just about relationships. It's about relationships with lawmakers in the governor's office. It's about relationships with community members.
Right.
And then if you find the right issues, this is the other thing I think, I don't want to say black folks don't do or it's been a mistake. I'll just say I think it's often a blind spot is that we typically don't pursue big issues, right? Like most black folks and African folks, I'm using the term interchangeably, come to me talking about money. And I'll be honest, like I don't really, it's not difficult for me to respond to that because to get money from the state, there's just a process, right?
Right.
So it's pretty easy just to support people on that. But it's the big policy issues that I think are missing. And so what I find is if you can bring out bigger policy ideas, you can bring more people together because everyone supports it.
Right.
So that's kind of how I look at it.
Right.
So
things are getting are better from a collegial standpoint now.
I don't know. If you're I'm someone who's determined to make friends.
Okay.
Right. Like I walk into a room and I believe everyone wants to work with me.
Right.
Right. And I think that's how you get stuff done at the Capitol. You got to ignore the partisan like posturing.
Right.
So like I'll give an example. Like the FGM bill. This idea that we need to further criminalize the act of female genital cutting. Right. This is like this is one of those issues where you just like you shake your head when it comes up because of course no one supports this issue. It's a terrible thing that happens. And this is not my opinion. This is what I hear from communities that are impacted by it. And you go and sit down, and you realize that people, that this is one of those bills where a specific party just wants to look tough,
right,
on an issue,
right,
and it's just kind of like it's a posturing policy. They're not helping anybody with this bill, right? And so you kind of got to have the relationships to get past that that kind of shock value policy, right? Because there's a lot of that. But then underneath that, there's a lot of good things that can happen at the Capitol if people decide to work together. But you got to get past the shock value, headline stuff.
So locally, we have Walter Smith, who is here today, actually. Does Mankato still have a board member? I know they did when I was there.
No, we currently don't have anyone.
Okay, so it's just Walter. He owns the whole South region. Okay, good.
Yeah. Another question I have too. I think y'all was involved in. I'm not sure, not like that, but I know I read somewhere about hair braiding. How they wanted, hair braiding. They wanted them to go to school and spend all this amount of money that it would affect mostly our community, African American Africans, because that's one way they make their hustle and stuff going. Can you explain a little bit about that?
So the bill. I'm trying to remember. So last session is complicated because a lot of bills passed, and then we're put into this omnibus crime bill, this massive omnibus bill that was like thousands of pages, and then the governor vetoed it because it was like mixed policy and whatnot. So my understanding is the bill didn't pass was vetoed in the omnibus crime bill. But yeah, like this is a bill authored by Rena Moran, right? Representative Moran, who is basically like everybody's auntie.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so this is a black woman who was legislating based on her values and experience in the community, in our community. And she's just like, it don't make no sense for somebody to have to jump through all these hoops, and then be criminalized, potentially criminalized, if they don't jump through those hoops and they're just getting, and someone pays them $80 to braid their hair, you know, in their living room or on the stoop, which is our tradition.
Yeah.
So this is one of those moments where you realize having a black legislator prevents it puts them in a position to fight back against the criminalization of our traditions.
Right.
You know? It's so important.